Hi everyone, welcome to my video. And in this video, I would like to explain about countable and uncountable nouns. Let's talk about the content that I will explain and also with the overview of the whole explanation. Of course, before I start the explanation, I will introduce myself in the About Me slide. Second is the objective about the whole video. Third is the introductions of the materials. Next is the first material, which is countable nouns. And after that, I'll explain about the uncountable nouns. And then move to the conclusion about the whole video and with the review of the materials. And finally, to sum it up, I have some exercise to do. Before we move to the explanation, I will talk about myself. My name is Gede Bramanda Pranata with student ID number 23120211032, and I'm a student from Ganesha Educational University, majoring in English language education. And beside educational purpose, this video is also for final project for intensive English course B subject lectured by Mrs. Loh Gede Rahayu Budiarta SPD MPD. I think that's all about myself, and now let's move to the next slide. Of course, the main purpose of this video is to explain about the difference between countable and uncountable nouns so you can differentiate them. Differentiate the countable and uncountable nouns. And of course, the next purpose is to explain the language features in the countable and uncountable nouns with the examples. That's all the objectives. Let's move to the introduction. Well, do you know when do we use a, some, any, much, or many? When do we use them? And what differentiate the use of these words? We'll talk about that later. And then the nouns can be divided into two, countable nouns and uncountable nouns. And of course, I'll talk about that later. Let's just move to the first materials, countable nouns. So, countable nouns is used for things that we can count using numbers, or for an object that has a physical form. For example, an apple, 2 eggs, 3 books, 4 pillows, etc. Countable nouns has a singular and plural forms, in which singular forms means the object is only one, and plural forms means the objects are more than one. Okay, let's talk about the singular form first. In countable nouns, in singular forms means the objects in a sentence is only one. It is usually used and start with the article a or an, whether in positive or negative sentences. For example, there are some sentences. The first is there's an apple on the table. From this sentence, we know that there is one apple on the table. The apple is the object in the sentence, and we can count the apple. Can we count the apple? Yes, there's one apple, and because can be counted, it is belong to the countable nouns, and because there's only one apple as the objects in the sentence, so it is a singular forms of the countable nouns. Next, Alia has a dictionary inside her bag. So from the sentence, we know that Alia has one dictionary inside her bag. Again, can we count the object? In here, the object is the dictionary. Can we count it? Yes, there is one, and the same with the first example, the sentence is using the singular form of the countable nouns. Moving on to the third example, there's a man at the door. The object in this sentence is the man. Can we count the object? Yes. Remember, countable nouns is used for objects, and it can be things, humans, animals, or anything that has a physical form and can be counted using numbers like 1, 2, 3, and so on. And because we can count the object in the third example, it is also included in the singular forms of the countable nouns. And the last, Sophia doesn't have a dog at home. From the sentence, we know that the dog is the object. And can we count it? Yes, she doesn't have a dog at home. And remember, as I said, the singular forms of the countable nouns usually used or start with the article a or an, whether in positive or negative sentences. Okay, let's move on to the plural forms. So, the plural forms in the countable nouns means the objects in a sentence is more than one, but still can be counted. It is usually used some in positive sentences and any in negative sentences. Let's see the example. The first one is there are 2 seats left in the class. From the sentence, we know that there are 2 seats left in the class. Which one is the object? The seat. And can we count the object? Yes, because it has a physical form. There are 2 seats left, and because of that, the sentence is using plural forms of the countable nouns. Remember, as I said, the plural forms of the countable nouns usually start or use some in positive sentences and any in negative sentence, but we can also use the number for the objects. Or for example, if you have 3 fish, you can just say there are 3 fish. Next, let's move to the uncountable nouns. So, uncountable nouns are used for things that we cannot count using numbers. These words include names for abstract ideas or properties, or physical objects that are too small to count or have no forms, such as liquids, powders, gases, etc. Uncountable nouns are used with singular verbs. These nouns usually do not have a plural forms. We cannot use a or an for these nouns, but we can use some or any to express the amount of uncountable nouns. There are also the use of words or expressions such as some, a lot of, much, a bit of, and a great deal of, or use precise measurements such as a cup of, a bag of, a kilogram of, a liter of, a handful of, a pinch of, and etc. Next, let's see the example of the uncountable nouns. So some objects that cannot be counted, including tea, sugar, water, air, rice, knowledge, money, information, and so on. So, can we count tea? No, it's almost like a powder. Can we count sugar? We can't, because it is too small to count. Water, air, rice, also too small to count, and it's almost impossible to count because it has no forms, just like water. It is liquid. Let's see the example. The first one, there's some milk in the fridge. Can we count what is the objects in the sentence? It is the milk. Can we count the milk? No, because it is liquid. And because of that, we use some in the sentence and it is included to the uncountable nouns. Next, I want a cup of tea. So in this sentence, we use quantity measurements before the objects. A cup of is a quantity that used for tea. Next, please buy a loaf of bread. So in the sentence, the object is the bread. Why can we count the bread if it has a physical form? Imagine if you're going to a store and ask the employee, "Can I buy 3 bread?" Doesn't it sound weird? Instead of saying 3 bread, we need to use the unit of measurement for something like bread. We can say, "Can I buy 3 loaves of bread?" Like that. And so on. You can pause the video to read more. Okay, understand it? I hope you can understand the difference between countable and uncountable nouns. So I have the conclusions for the materials. Countable nouns is used with objects that can be counted with number, singular, or plurals, while uncountable nouns is used for objects that cannot be counted, using numbers such as an object that has no form. And in countable and uncountable nouns, the use of a or an is just for only countable nouns with singular forms in both positive or negative sentences, while some and any can be used in both countable and uncountable nouns. However, the uncountable nouns also used quantity measurements more often. So I hope until here you can remember the material, because up next we're going to have some exercise. So from these words, which one do you think included into the countable nouns and uncountable nouns? You can pause the video. How is it? Did you guess right? Moving on, I have another game. Same as before, you need to guess which one is included into the countable and uncountable nouns. You can pause the video. How is it? Can you guess it right? Up next, I have another form of games. In this game, fill the blank sentences with the right answers. You can pause the video to answer these questions. Alright, can you answer it rightly? This is the right answer. Oops, I think that's the end of the video. I hope this can help you learn more about the countable and uncountable nouns. Make sure to do the exercises to help you learn more. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.